Welcome to AVP's Orville Chats. My name is AVP. Stay tuned for today's episode. Episode 11, Cupid's Dagger, the various love stories depicted on Orville. Hey guys, it's AVP back with another Orville podcast episode. This one is about the various love stories depicted on the Orville series. One of the first love stories that we were first introduced to was the Ed and Kelly story. But it was a bumpy road for both of them in the past for the past few seasons that we've had so far. We've also been introduced to the love story between Clyden and Bordis and their non-traditional love story, which has been quite a few bumps over the past few seasons as well. Meanwhile, we got introduced to some not-so-traditional couples, like Dr. Claire Finn and Yaphit, and then Dr. Claire Finn and Issac. For Gordon Malloy, we got introduced to Laura, and then we also got introduced to Alara and Dan. And then we also got some hookups with Priya and Ed. We also got introduced to Encinturco and Lamar. We also got introduced to Ed and Kelly and Derulio, which was a love triangle kind of thing. We also got introduced to Ed and Cassius and Kelly, in a way. We also got introduced to Ed and Janal. And we also got introduced to Ed and Talea. We've got a lot of love stories in these stories in so many ways. So one of the things that's kind of cool is to see that the love story that plays out is not your typical love story. I mean, when we think of love stories, we think of, say, a fairy tale kind of story between, like, say, Cinderella and her Prince Charming. But with the Orville stories, the love story is a little bit more trickier because they're non-traditional, because they don't follow the norms on what you're expected to do. I mean, I know firsthand because I'm in a relationship with someone very special, and people expect you to follow certain rules, saying, well, on day 1 you do this, on day 2 you're supposed to do this, yada yada yada. Well, here's the thing. When you're in love with someone, I don't think you should technically follow the norm. I think you should follow what you think is best between you and that individual. Some of these things you could do is maybe doing something fun together. Like for me, when I'm with my special someone, since we're in a long distance relationship currently, we basically have to make things creative, such as watching movies together, playing games on the internet together, or even video chats, or even talking to each other via Messenger kind of thing. So the thing is with that makes it a little bit more trickier, but we have done some in-person kind of dates when I did get to visit with them it was back in October. So that was kind of fun. But the thing is, even with those kind of experiences, it was the non-traditional kind of dates. We would go to museums together. We would go to the zoo. So that's the thing. With the love stories that are depicted on the Orville series, we see certain kinds of dates depicted. But the thing is, each love story is for that particular couple. It works for them. I mean, with Ed and Kelly, they might be comfortable doing a picnic kind of thing, as we saw in some of the images that we've seen. We've also seen Kelly going out with Cassius when they were having kind of a simulator kind of dinner kind of set-in kind of thing. We also saw it with Tala and when she was teaching Lokar how to dance. That was not your typical love story kind of thing, but yet it worked for them. Or Alara when she was in the simulator kind of thing with Dan, where he wrote this corny but cheesy, lovely love poem that he had written for her about the fish on the hook kind of thing. So, like I said, these love stories that are depicted on the Orville series, they're each personal for that individual couple. And certain ones are a little bit more trickier than others. But the thing is, as long as the love story is told well, and I think that we see that the couple genuinely loves each other and that they're willing to support each other, I think that's fine however it works. And as long as you're willing to give and take with each other, that's totally fine. As long as it's not one-sided or feels like it's forced or it's rushed kind of thing. I mean, that's the thing. When you're in a relationship with someone, you basically just want to be with that person. You don't care how you do it. I mean, when I'm with my darling, I don't think about the time we're spending together. I just think, hey, I'm with someone I love. We're having a good time together. We're laughing together. We're just enjoying the moment. And I think that's the case with all these characters. With Ed, when he was with Kelly in the past, we enjoyed seeing their interactions. And we see that when Laura was introduced to Gordon, that they did things in the non-traditional way, that they were playing games together, that they were having a good time at her party kind of thing, or later on singing a duet kind of thing. Like I said, these couples, they tell such great love stories. I mean, you wouldn't think of them as love stories at first, But then when you reflect upon it, then you say, oh wait, that is a love story. That is something special between these kind of couples. And yes, okay, it's nice to see certain things like Isaac when he goes to take Claire out for a date and he comes to her quarters and he has a bunch of flowers for her. He's dressed up in human gear and it's kind of cute but funny to see. And then we saw him going to extremes where he started wanting to go out on a date where he actually brought a cake to her in the middle of the night. Now, fellas or ladies, if you're into that kind of dating kind of thing, there needs to be a lot of give and take between you and that person. Make sure you're not coming to them at, say, 3 o'clock in the morning with a cake or a pie and saying, oh, I made you something. No, I think you need to make sure you spread out your dates kind of thing. So, for instance, when I go on a date with my special someone, and basically most of the time it's online, we basically discuss what do we want to do, and then we start planning it out from there. It may take a couple of days, it may take a couple of hours, but we try to spread it out. And then once we start on our date, then we basically focus our attention on that person only. We turn off everything else around us. We turn off our phones. We turn off our other things that are around us that would distract us. And I think that's the case with all of these love stories here, that they basically focus primarily on that person that they're with. They don't focus on the outside world. They're just focused on that one person and that one person only. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how some of the love stories play out in season 3, to see, are they going to be new simulator kind of things. Like one thing that we got introduced to in season 2, which was really cute, was the bowling alley. So we know they got that. We know they got an area where they can do karaoke. So basically there's so many possibilities, especially with the simulator, that they can do so many different things in there. And that's one of the things I love. I really, really love the fact that we get introduced to fun, lively times with these special couples. Like when Ed was dating Talia, but he didn't realize it was Talia. Basically, it was Janal. And so apparently they had quite a bit of movie dates, and that was kind of cute. Apparently he had introduced her to several movies like Taxi, got introduced to Raiders of the Lost Ark, I believe, and I think we got introduced to The King and I, which was shown in the episode All Except in All the Fishes. So like I said, we know he got introduced her to several movies over the time they were together, and apparently he introduced her to even music such as Billy Joel. And so with these love stories, you learn the different aspects of them. We learn who's the more serious one in the relationship, or we learn who's the more lighthearted one. Each particular couple, it works for them. I mean, they don't follow the typical norm either, I don't think. But here's the thing. When you truly, truly care about someone, you don't think about rules and regulations that you're supposed to follow. You just focus on being with that person. And that's the thing so special about the Orville series with these love stories. And we're glad to see some lighthearted moments and some happy moments. I mean, hey, these guys are saving their lives and saving so many others around them day in and day out. And for them to just kick back for however long they do, that's good to see, that they can say, I'm still staying connected to the person that I love. Let's kick back a little. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy each other's company. And yeah, I mean, some of it's a little bit extreme. Yeah, kind of like when Clyden gets upset with Bordes, where he did the quote divorce, or when he was going after Lockhart, so to speak. There's those kind of cases, but then we also saw the other side of where Cassius was willing to apologize to say Kelly and say, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up, I was wrong. And yeah, she took advice from Ed, but yeah, we saw that. We also saw with Clyden and stuff like that, in fact, he was willing to risk and save his life, and also save their child's life, Topa, when they were in danger from the Krill. And we also see that Isaac was willing to sacrifice his life in order to save the crew, and especially Ed and Kelly and Claire, and especially her son. That really meant a lot to Claire, I'm sure. I mean, yes, there's still going to be tension there between the two of them, but we can tell that he's on the right foot by wanting to save her son's life instead of kill him and destroy him. That's a big, big thing, especially if you're trying to get to know people's children. So if there's children involved in a relationship, I think you should try to include the children in certain ways. No, they don't have to go on the dates with you per se, but you got to make sure that you get to know those children for them. I mean, my special someone has got children, yes, but the thing is, I'm going to try to get to know them for them. Not just because they're my boyfriend's kids, but, there's somebody that's going to be part of my life too. And like my boyfriend's trying to get to know people in my life, and I'm getting to know people in his life, whether it's his kids, his friends, whatever. That's the thing with these love stories. You get to know people in a personal basis. You get to find out what their likes. You find out what their dislikes. Are they a morning person? Are they a night person? Are they a dancer? Are they a video game person? Are they competitive? That's the thing I've always done, is to find out what is my personal person like. Like, are they a team player? Are they fun to be around? Whatever it is. I mean, it takes time, yes. I mean, I'm almost on my 5th month with my special someone. And that's the thing, that it takes time. It wasn't built all overnight. That was the thing that is so special about some of these relationships. I think some of them were friends, and then it grew into love each other. I think in the case of Ed and Kelly, I think that they probably were friends with each other, probably back at Union Point. And then from Union Point, then it developed into a relationship where he said, hey, I like you. Would you like to go for a date? And then we saw the consequences of what happens when she didn't accept date number 2, obviously. But here's the thing. He obviously had a good time with her, enough to call her, enough to say, hey, I had a good time. Let's do date number 2. Are you interested? So that's the thing. You make somebody feel special. You make them feel connected. And that was the thing about these love stories on Orville. That these love stories, they're not cheesy without being overly mushy kind of thing. It's got the right balance. I mean, like I said, these love stories, we get different aspects. We got the same gender kind of species. We've also got the traditional kind. We've also got the non-traditional one. Like I said, with Claire and Issac, they're obviously a non-traditional couple. Or we also see relationships that are developing in the background with Lamar and Kira kind of thing. I think her name is Turco. But anyway, you get to what I'm saying. That basically these couples are staying connected to each other, that they love each other, they're spending time together, they're doing things as a couple. Sure, they know how to separate between their work hours and also their non-work hours. So that's the key, I would say, to doing that kind of thing. I mean, I love so much about these love stories, and it's because they're so sweet. And yeah, we've seen breakups too, but hopefully we will begin to see less breakups and more makeups, so to speak. I mean, yeah, you never know when the love story is going to come into the stories. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect us to get, say, the love story with Gordon and Laura. I mean, that one was a kind of a surprise, but it was nice to see Gordon falling for somebody, even though she was 400 years from the past. But yet he still loved and adored her very, very much, and she obviously meant the world to him. And the fact that he was willing to alter history to be with her, so to speak. But then to find out, you know what, if you love someone, sometimes you have to let them go. Sometimes you have to, well, move on, sadly. I mean, that was probably very hard for Gordon to move on past her, but she obviously had a deep impact on him, and he was obviously willing to learn more about her and her world. I mean, that's the thing. When you're in a relationship with someone, you want to find out about them. You want to find out everything you can about them. And it's like I said, it's a give and take kind of thing. You're constantly wanting to be with that person. You're constantly doing things together. So our next episode, which is episode 12, is going to be dealing with mad idolatry, how I personally, this is me, myself, AVP, keep connecting to many of the Orville fans, and it's how it has a majority rule, that the majority of us absolutely love and adore this series so much. I mean, this series has been going on almost 3 years now of various episodes. We've also gotten comics. We've gotten fan series that are done by, say, Eric Moran. We've also got people in this community, JP, PJ, myself. There's so many of us in this community that we all connect to each other, and it's all under this one umbrella called Orville. And it's so crazy because I've been part of other fan communities, and you don't have that camaraderie together. You have something that's truly, truly, truly precious, and you never want to take it for granted. I mean, when I first started my Orville journey, I'll be honest, I really didn't know anyone that often, and then gradually I started finding my voice. I started doing watch parties. I started coming up with other ideas and said, you know what? what if I do this? What if I do that? And I came up with the idea, you know what, let me create an Orville message board for Orville fans to interact. So in case you didn't know, the Orville message board is kind of like an online place that's not Twitter, it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, it's not Reddit, but it's basically a safe zone where you can voice opinions, you can talk to other fans, you can talk to other people and share your insights about Orville episodes, Orville characters, share your opinions. You can share fun things that you've created, such as fan fiction. You can also create things such as art pictures. You can also share videos that you have created. This universe is literally your limit on what you can come up with. And so I came up with that for you guys to join. If you're interested in signing up for that, let me know. You guys can reach me via Twitter. You can also contact me on Facebook. You can also reach me on Instagram. I'm out there in the social media world, so please feel free to check that out. And I also have this Orville podcast, as you guys know. I mean, I'm sorry I've been a little bit delayed with doing these on a regular basis, but I try to keep you guys in the loop. It's just things have been kind of busy for me lately, but I apologize. But I hopefully will do more in this upcoming year. If you guys have suggestions on what we could do for future episodes, please let me know. I would love to hear your insight, because this isn't just my podcast. It's a podcast for you, the fans, to interact with me. If you're interested in participating on an episode, let me know so we can start recording together sometime. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode about the love stories that are depicted in the Orville series. Like I said, we've gotten so many. Ed, Kelly, Gordon, and Laura. We've also gotten Clyden and Bordis. We've also gotten Claire and Issac. Claire also and Finn. Well, not Finn, but Yaphit. So yeah, we've got it all in this one mini show, and so much is covered from season 1, season 2, and season 3. We will see what happens. I mean, some of the love stories are better than others. Some are more favorites than others for us, but yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode about the love stories and how they're depicted on the Orville series. This is AVP, your Orville sister, friend, and fan, signing off for now, and I will see you guys another time. Good night!